So Donald Trump, he just basically made it clear that he would arrest Zohran Mamdani. And no, I mean, you didn't hear me wrong. The sitting president of the United States is like openly threatening to jail the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City. It's wow. And look, this is so much more than just another dumb tweet or, you know, a rambling, incoherent rally speech. This is a bright red line, a full-blown autocratic threat that like shows you exactly what the modern Republican Party stands for. You need to see the clip for yourself, because I mean, hearing the words come out of his mouth it's frankly chilling. This is what a president who has like complete contempt for democracy, this is what he sounds like. Here is the moment from his press conference. I'm not gonna, you know, pretty it up, just watch.
Zohran Mamdani, who in his nomination speech said he will defy ICE and will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zohran Mamdani?
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country.
We'll have to arrest him. I mean, that is the language of a dictator, right? A power-drunk megalomaniac who believes his political opponents belong in prison. This isn't America, folks. This is like some cheap knockoff of Putin's Russia, and it's a damn disgrace. You know, calling a progressive candidate a communist, it's just the most intellectually lazy, bankrupt insult the right wing has. And they've been using it for, what, 100 freaking years now? It's just this moronic scare tactic they pull from their dusty playbook whenever they can't actually debate policies that help working people. And I mean, let's talk about the sheer hypocrisy of a creep like Trump pretending to care about the country while his administration, you know, actively robs it blind. The last time this man was in office, he and his Republican cronies, they orchestrated one of the biggest transfers of wealth in American history. And they did it by kicking the most vulnerable people. But, you know, you don't have to take my word for it. Former Congressman Jamaal Bowman, who actually knows what he's talking about, he broke it down perfectly. He lays out the numbers on this historic heist in a way that's like impossible to ignore. Let me play the clip from that same MSNBC segment, where Bowman details exactly who paid the price for the GOP's tax cuts.
And impact for impact. And actually, I think Zohran is going to ultimately have a better impact on our democracy than Donald Trump, who is currently destroying it. I mean, the Trump administration just committed the largest heist in U.S. history. $1 trillion cuts in Medicaid, $300 billion cuts in SNAP. He's literally taking from the poor, the hungry, and the sick, and giving the largest tax breaks in our history to the wealthiest Americans. And so
$1 trillion from Medicaid and hundreds of billions from SNAP, just, you know, let that sink in. I remember back when those cuts were happening, the local food pantry in my area, it was a place run by these two like really sweet old ladies, and suddenly it had lines stretching down the block just full of families who'd never needed help before. It's pure grift, people. So okay, that leads to the other side of this argument, right? The one you always hear from anxious establishment types who think a candidate like Mamdani is a political liability. And this is the idea that he's basically a caricature, a gift-wrapped boogeyman for the Republican Party to just, you know, use in their attack ads. It's a cynical view for sure, but you can see why some people feel that way, right? Especially when you see how the GOP machine operates. Here's how one of the Mississippi NBC hosts put it. And honestly, she's not entirely wrong about the GOP's playbook.
Things are getting worse.
I disagree with this. I feel like in many ways, Mamdani is the fever dream candidate that Republicans always wanted, right? He's Muslim. He's a self-described socialist. He's from New York. It's like all of the scary boogeyman qualities that Republicans have long claimed that all Democrats are, and he actually embraces. So to me, this is not.
And look, I get it. Republicans are racist, they're Islamophobic, xenophobic hypocrites who will absolutely use every cheap shot they can. I mean, that is their entire brand. And they are disgustingly good at whipping their base into a frenzy over this kind of stuff. But that electability argument, it's just this tired trap that the Democratic establishment falls into over and over again. It's like, you know, it's like how Blockbuster laughed at Netflix because they couldn't imagine people wanting movies mailed to them, right? And they completely missed the bigger picture. Well, in the same way, these establishment consultants are so focused on avoiding the GOP's predictable racist attacks that they fail to see the power of a candidate who actually inspires people. You know, people who have been ignored for decades. And what's really wild is that, well, it's not just my opinion. Even some of the slimiest political trolls on the right have like accidentally admitted that Mamdani's message has power. They see that his focus on actual kitchen table economic issues is a threat. Why? Because it's the same ground they pretend to care about. I mean, you had ghouls like Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and while they're, you know, saying they oppose his policies, they're admitting they respected his campaign's populist focus. Like, think about that for a second. These professional bootlickers for the rich recognized that a socialist message was cutting through the noise. Let's play what the panel said about that, because it's a rare moment of clarity from the MAGAverse that exposes what they're truly afraid of.
To that point, we did just see Tucker Carlson and Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene actually even acknowledge some of that when they had a conversation on the podcast. They were saying that they don't agree with him on any of his policies, but the message of populism actually speaks to them, and they appreciated some of the ways in which he went about his campaign. I think there's a recognition there.
So when the usual smears and fear-mongering about socialism don't work, what do they do next? Well, they get desperate and they start, you know, digging through the trash for some manufactured scandal. And that is exactly what happened with this pathetic story about his college application. So, as reported by the New York Times, his opponents are trying to make this huge deal out of the fact that on his 2009 Columbia application, he checked boxes for both Asian and Black or African American, and he also wrote in that he was born in Uganda. The data came from a hack and was fed to the paper by some like race science obsessed fanatic who opposes affirmative action. This is the bottom of the barrel, folks. I mean, this is beyond pathetic. It's a manufactured scandal by desperate people who have nothing else. As Jamaal Bowman correctly pointed out, what was a teenage son of Indian parents born and raised in Uganda, what was he supposed to check on a form that doesn't have a box for Indian Ugandan? You know, it's a deliberate bad faith attack, and Bowman, as a former educator, is the perfect person to shut this idiocy down for good. Here he is explaining just how much of a non-issue this is.
The fact that people are now scrutinizing this, what kind of response do you want to see from Mamdani on it? And do you think it's disqualifying in any way?
Hell no. I mean, he's already responded. I mean, basically, these applications, they don't have a category for Ugandan, you know, Indian or whatever his background is, right? So he filled it in Ugandan and he explained it the way he explained it. The interesting thing you mentioned was about the gentleman who found this information, and you mentioned the connection to eugenics. Eugenics is the belief that our intelligence is tied to our biology. And the framing of the story, in my opinion, from the Times as I read it, one, it didn't seem newsworthy to me, and two, it seemed to be, once again, red meat for people who are trying to connect some type of scandal to this application, some type of scandal to his ethnic background. I just think it's not newsworthy. It's not disqualifying at all.
Do you think it's going to upset black voters in the city?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he was born in Uganda. Uganda's in Africa. I mean, he filled it out.
Sorry.
So, I mean, they're left with attacking a guy over a college application from when he was, 17? Because they are terrified, just terrified to debate him on his actual platform. They can't argue against policies like universal childcare or freezing rents because, well, those ideas are incredibly popular with the very people the GOP has been lying to for years. All of it, the smear campaigns, the unhinged threats from Trump, the hand-wringing from the establishment, it all proves one thing. They are scared, but see, they aren't really afraid of some socialist boogeyman. What they're really afraid of is a pro-democracy movement that demands a government that, actually works for the working class. And that's a beautiful thing to see. All right. So that's all I've got for today. Look, the reason these creeps from the president all the way down to his trolls are freaking out is because, well, they know their time is running out. They can't win on ideas, so they resort to fear and racism and these pathetic lies about college applications from like a decade ago. Don't let them suck you into their whole chaotic mess of distractions. Just pay attention to the policies that will actually put money in your pocket and make your life better. That's what they're truly terrified of. If you're as sick of this whole awful situation as I am, hit that subscribe button, because we're going to keep calling it out every single week. And drop a comment below and let me know what you think is Mamdani the GOP's worst nightmare because of his identity. Or is it because of his ideas? So stay angry, stay engaged, and don't let the bastards grind you down. I'll see you in the next one.